Good evening, and welcome to another scene in Living Legend of the Five Rings. This scene takes place right at sundown. The samurai that have decided to try their hand at uh, the art of poetry for their lord's amusement have been told to gather at a small edifice on the edge of a lake, very, very close to Kutankuro, um, which happens to be a dwelling in which um, the Phoenix have taken up residence, at least for the time being. And so, as everyone gathers, they sort of see a set of walkways sort of navigating the tributaries leading to the opposite side to the opposite bank where the building is located, and they see a couple of shrine maidens lighting lanterns and floating them on the lake to appease the spirits of the dead. At least that's what the locals say it's for. You would have to ask the Phoenix to get the real answer, but as everyone slowly gathers into the main hall, which sort of has a nice airy openness to it. All of the shoji screens are sort of slid open to expose them to the elements and to the natural ambiance for this gathering. You are all given places um, to sit if you wish, and everyone is offered refreshment before the activities commence. Please, what do you do?
Sojiro, in his seat, happily accepts the refreshment and tries his very best to look formal, um, with any etiquette that he may have.
So the attendants that are serving you are dressed in gray kimonos. They're pristine, very clean, and they don't look you in the eye. Um, they merely wait for um, your command to serve, and they will offer you a small cup of uh, tea with which to, you know, refresh yourself. But they make a point not to look you in the eye.
Can I say that Makoto is sitting next to Shojiro?
Mm-hmm.
Does Makoto sit next to Sojiro?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look at that.
That's fair.
Oh man, free will, it's a bitch.
You know what?
Damn it.
She, on the other hand, is effortlessly etiquette-y. Fuck. Nah, whatever. Does it seem weird that they're not looking us in the eye? Or does that seem normal and etiquette-y?
That's pretty normal for Heyman.
Okay.
Because you're samurai and then
etiquette.
kind of thing. But yes, Asura will, when he sees that, he'll slightly, very, in a slow manner, he'll slide his cup closer to the person and just nod at them with a slight smile.
Bayushi Seimei will arrive at this small little edifice or whatever, entering with his hands clasped behind his back. And when he is offered the tea and a place to sit, he actually forgoes both and just goes out, and probably goes to where he could probably get the best view of the lake while still being within the building proper. And he will just stand there, just kind of minding his own business, just taking in the lamps, probably counting them, kind of just absentmindedly.
I should also clarify that there are tables set up. Obviously, you're going to need a place to compose your poems.
Oh, okay, cool.
If we're not competing, is there a spectator area?
Not really. You can mingle.
Okay.
Tetsu will simply walk in, look around, give a big smile to everyone, and then just kind of sit down wherever.
Have Tetsu and Makoto met?
They did at the Aijutsu tournament.
Okay. That's right. Okay. Yeah. She'll give nods to everybody she's met.
Yeah. Asha will nod back at her.
Sojiro will also nod back and nod to Seimei.
Seimei just cuts his eyes and gives us a strong single nod. I'm assuming that's probably what happened when he walked in. Anyways, I apologize.
Well, seeing as how everyone, it would seem, has gathered after a few moments of what seems like relative silence, which is surprising because there is a Moto in the room. A relatively frazzled individual, Otamo Ocean, makes her way from the depths of the shrine and takes a seat of honor, so to speak, at the front of the of all the samurai, and a couple of G samurai of the Seven family sort of like take their place in the corners of the room, and she sort of like dumps a bit of a few scrolls onto the table in front of her, and takes a moment to compose herself before looking at all of you and effortlessly slipping into the Otamo face and says, "Samurai of the great clans, welcome to this beautiful shrine. You have come here to compete with each other in the most beautiful expression of the soul that a samurai can produce. It is as valuable to a samurai as is his sword or his steed. The ability to compose poetry is a time-honored tradition, and would that Lord Otomo Kaioshin-sama could be here. Alas, other matters have taken his attention. He has sent me to act in his stead. I am certain that all of you will perform admirably. And she sort of like looks around expectantly at all of you. Is anyone not going to perform admirably? Makoto-san.
Makoto is going to move to the spectator area to admirably.
She comes up, she just stomps and just fucking kicks you out of the goddamn building. What kind of crane doesn't participate in a haiku contest?
I feel like this is a moment where Makoto picks up her chair, like turns it around, and like sits with her back to the circle.
It'd probably be a cushion, but yeah.
Just plops up, like does the little hop turn, little butt bounce.
Nah, she just turns the chair around, swings her leg over, and sits in it backward to watch. Just kidding.
Anyways.
She just moves out of the way and looks encouraging at all of you.
She noticed us. Seimei seems rather amused that the haiku would probably be like the most like the literal expression of the soul or something like that, about as valuable as a katana or whatever she said. He seems rather amused at that, though obviously it's really hard to tell because of his fucking mempo. But yeah, he just he goes and he just goes to his, I guess, his table. And just, I guess, goes to sit like how they sit traditionally, I would assume, and just kind of look to his right and left to see who he's like next to, or who he's been placed next to.
Well, since you do arrive just after Ashura, I'll say you're probably next to Ashura. So Ashura is, contrary to most samurai who have their kimonos, but who have a vest or something over it, or something to make it look green. No, Ashura's kimono, it's green because he's of the Dragon Clan. That's about it. And yeah, his kimono is very simple. It's just the kimono of the Dragon Clan, and that's it. As for him, he's short, but quite athletic from what you can see from his body. His hair is long, reaching to the bottom of his back, and his face, yeah, he looks like he isn't ugly at all. He's actually quite pleasing to the eye, not to the point where he is like people stand in awe, where he would obviously have dangerous beauty, but like he looks good and probably could look better if he wasn't so aesthetic, and was actually took
Please, if you
took
ain't
time.
dangerous beauty, you was
Me, I couldn't do it. I couldn't take it. But yeah, no, he's very plain to as far as what he wears goes. And his face is, yeah, he's very young and short and athletic.
Seimei just looks to the dragon, giving him a few seconds of a look, trying to get a small bearing on the man, if only because he just now seen him probably for the first time. Despite probably walking in, he now has actually paid attention to him, and Seimei is a very young-looking individual. His hair is in a top knot. Obviously, he wears a mempo and the scorpion, the traditional scorpion kimono, mon, and all that stuff. You can tell behind the mask, if he didn't have the mask, he would be a rather handsome individual. And he carries himself like a lightweight boxer would, in a sense, like at least far as stature wise, in the way his proportions are bodily. Anyways, and he just says, but you should say me.
He'll smile and nod. Takasha Asura.
It's at this point that Ocean speaks up and says, "You have been brought here to compose your thoughts into a single poem for the glory of bending the ear of Lord Kaioshin-sama. You have 1 hour to compose it. You are free to wander these lovely grounds as you see fit if you need inspiration. I trust that you have brought your own material, but if you do not, writing utensils and paper will be provided." And break.
So yeah, being ascetic, not having money and not having money to buy the material, Togashi will take some of the material. Well, ask, I guess. Not sure if we just take it or if we have to go there and ask. Whatever we have to do.
It's more like it'll be placed before you in a polite
Okay.
way. You don't need to ask. But yeah, basically she dismisses all of you, and you can come and compose your poem here at the table if you need to, whenever inspiration strikes you, if that's now or later or whatever.
Yeah, I would say that Seimei would probably use up probably about a good 55 minutes, and then come back, lay out his own materials, and compose his haiku. But in the meantime, so he will look to Togashi-san, and just say it's a little far from the mountain.
Wait. I find a good way for the dragon to sit. Because the young dragon before you, his steps are guided where his lord sends him. And he has a slight smile.
And do you listen to everything your lord says?
He'll think. It is the duty of a samurai, is it not?
Interesting.
Besides, my own wishes were to seek more of the land of Rokugan. So it fitted what I wanted.
Would you have been upset otherwise if you were not called here?
Need to think. Not here particularly. I would have been happy moving anywhere. I enjoy traveling.
I guess anything would be better than home, considering the problems that the dragon are having.
We have our problem, but time can always be taken to enjoy the surrounding. Sometimes that time taken to enjoy the surrounding is the same time you take to dwell upon your own problems, upon our we take upon dwelling on our problems.
But do the dragon really have the time to spare?
We do not. We will not strike head. We will not run head first into our problem. We look for a way to rid the problem most efficiently.
He just chuckles. I almost think that running headfirst into the problem would be what you need to do, Togashi-san. Considering that your people and your numbers dwindle, I would almost dare say that you would need to run upon a lover.
This guy, Makoto's head has turned. She's not looking at the conversation. She's looking off in any other direction than this conversation. But her eyes are like getting wider and wider.
You're small.
Do you have any concubines, Togashi-san?
Not as of yet. I believe I will find one.
Is that truly what you want? Or would you rather take time contemplating everything going on around you rather than focusing on the problems back at home?
I think if the problem is finding a concubine, I do not need to go home to find it. Simply the child that will come of it, needs to be in the Dragonlands.
Makoto is going to start moving that direction as though gravity has just rearranged itself.
Mamoto from the back is going to start slowly raising his hand like I have something to say. He's waiting to be called on. It's very obvious.
Togashi will smile at him. Yes, that's sorry. I keep forgetting. Tetsumura-san, do you wish to speak?
Yeah. So I couldn't help but overhear your conversation, not because I was eavesdropping or anything, but because you guys are very loud, in the most polite way. But just couldn't help but think a little bit. You know, if you were to just sire a child with a concubine, and not your spouse, it would cause problems for the child, obviously, because they were not, of a, marriage, and so they, the best thing that would happen to them is that they would be G samurai, because of their birth, unless they went and became a Ronin and did not tell anyone of their past and worked their way up from there. But either way, the child's life would not be the best.
I am so fascinated to see how much energy we packed into 3 short lines by such energetic conversation.
There's much space to fill within an hour. Besides, I don't believe anybody's really put any pen to paper or brush to paper as of yet. Though if I am interrupting you, Togashi-san, I can simply walk away, leave you to your writing.
And he'll look to outside. I will look for inspiration taking fresh air. You may follow me if you will.
No, I am fine. I believe I have trespassed on your good graces for enough this evening.
And he'll just nod. And he'll actually go outside. And he'll close his eyes and play his flute. That's how he looks. That's how he looks for inspiration.
And he looks to Makoto-san. So what is all your energy going into this evening?
She does not inform him that she's learning how to continue walking without breathing. She gives him a very polite smile and says, "Oh, I am here to absorb energy. I'm only spectating this evening."
A crane not participating in a haiku contest? Interesting.
Unusual. He'll say it as he's walking on. He's on his way out. And he just smiles.
Probably more unusual than Togashi-san over there.
His mercy, if you see him, gets slightly bigger when Bayushi says this. And yes, then he sits down outside, looking at the lake, and looks at the lake for a few seconds, closes his eyes, and plays his flute. Sorry, go back.
As I have explained to Sojiro-san, she kind of gestures to whoever he is in the room. I am appreciative of poetry, but I have no skill of my own. And I prefer not to spread my seed upon infertile ground.
Interesting. I have no skill in poetry whatsoever, and yet I still plan on participating. I don't know if it's really about winning or losing, per se, but more expressing yourself than anything. Do you not know how to write? I will write something for you if need be. Or hope you write something.
A very generous offer. I am able to write. I look forward to the writings of those who are capable.
Well, if that's the case, you are capable as well. But I will not push you. Just find it interesting is all.
I'm so pleased to be interesting to you, Seimei-san.
Me too.
When he says that, her head turns, she's been just kind of, politely looking around the room, but when he says that, her head turns a little more quickly than she perhaps intended it to, and she makes eye contact, just for a moment.
Seimei just has his eyes. I mean, he looks at her kind of plainly, he doesn't look antagonistic or anything, but he's not shying away from her. He just has his hands clasped behind his back. He doesn't look like anything, really. He's within the void.
Okay. She puts a great deal of effort into silence and her polite smile. Remaining placid. Doesn't say anything.
Sojiro finds his way outside as well, refraining from commenting on the poet that lives inside. And when he goes outside, he goes to have a seat some ways away from Asura-san, but not close, but within eyeshot. And he stands for a moment, and then sits, and he looks up in the sky, closes his eyes, and takes a deep breath. Energy. And he reaches into his Haori and pulls out a piece of paper and a brush. Well, a bundle of papers and a brush. And he holds the bundle of papers with one hand, and the brush with the other. And he looks down with furrowed brows and starts writing.
So while Sojiro is preparing haiku kata, what is Moto doing? Moto-san.
Moto is just kind of he's sitting there, nice and polite in Seiza, like a good little samurai, but he's just kind of looking around like, man, I don't even know that much about courtier stuff, and like Scorpio was throwing like massive shade at the crane, and like so he's just kind of like just looking down at the parchment like, man, if I keep my gaze down here, I will not be noticed by anyone. But then he will pick up the brush and begin working on his haiku, while still vehemently not making eye contact or looking up.
I think the term you mean is the scorpion was being a scorpion.
He walks over to Tetsu.
Oh shit!
How you doing, buddy?
Tetsu. It's the sound of, a branch slowly breaking as Tetsu ever so slowly moves his head up from looking at the parchment to look up towards the Bayushi, and he'll say, good evening, Bayushi-san.
Semi is fine. Semi-san, excuse me. And he steps closer and kind of like peers over your shoulder at what you're writing. Oh, what do you got going on there?
Some stuff. So far, it's just he's just got one line down, and it's I do not fear death. It's very common from a Moto. But he will kind of say, what you doing? Huh?
Well, looking for inspiration. Though I think Crane-san is sucking it all from me. Just.
Do you guys have some tension you need to go in a back room and like work out? Maybe.
No.
Oh, okay. I'm
pretty sure we had a good climax when we had our duel.
Yeah, but more tend to always be welcomed. I do not know what I can do to help you get more inspiration that she's draining from you.
I'm just kidding. I actually found inspiration from her.
You were very odd and very creepy and very scary. In a totally not insulting way, of course.
Did Detsmura say that?
He fucking did!
he will just fucking just guffaw, like right in front of everybody, just whatever. Eyes like closed, like his mempo just kind of like does that whole bouncy thing, like just from his jaw, like just flapping from all the laughing. And he just shakes his head and just leaves Tetsuya to his own devices.
He'll, you know what? Because he's already freaking embarrassed himself enough. He'll just look over and say, "It's almost like you have some dangerous beauty about you. Goodbye." And he'll just wave.
Seimei leaves Tetsu, and like it's just a picture of like the scene pauses, Tetsu looking down at the parchment again, eyes kind of go wide, and then like the picture frame just shatters.
He does not know if that interaction went well or not. He's trying to put on a good impression so the scorpion doesn't kill him in his sleep, but it's not working. He got the scorpion to laugh, so he thinks it's a good job.
This was the best thing about tonight.
So where does Seimei go?
He goes over to his table, and just sits there. he thinks he's antagonized enough people tonight, and he'll have everything prepared, and then until about the last like minute or so, that's when
slow your roll. Slow your roll.
Oh.
What is Makoto doing? It's important.
As that conversation took place, she was moving around the room to look at things, to maybe make polite conversation if there was anyone still in the room besides those two who might be made polite conversation with.
Not really. Like, as this is happening, Ocean like stands up quickly as if she's forgotten something and just has that look of like just exasperated, like oh goodness, and just like leaves the room, and the G Samurai follow, leaving you uncomfortably alone with Seimei and Tetsu.
Okay, in that case, with no one to make polite conversation with, she will have just stepped over to one of the cups of tea and or one of the refreshment tables, and settled down to wait. Yeah, like a big rock.
What's she doing while sitting and sipping on tea?
Controlling her breathing. Working on getting oxygen to her brain, despite what Seimei just said.
Okay. So back outside with the other two. Both of you. So Sojiro is like busy composing his poem. I'm sure with many starts and stops and revisions. It sounds like, with his like hyping himself up and all the paper he brought with him. And Asura has taken up a medit meditative stance. Is that right?
He's playing. He's sitting kind of in a lotus position. His eyes closed, but he's playing his flute.
Okay. So from outside, all of you hear the gentle sounds of flute music starting to drift inside. However, Sojiro, as you are composing your poem and taking your inspiration from the ambiance around you, I need you to make me a roll. Let me look at the skills because they are not in a good place.
Do you want the list?
I'm getting a list.
Thank you, Robo-san.
Robertson.
Let's see. Go ahead and just make me a raw perception roll, please.
Oh no.
TN10.
TNT. Oh, okay. I can do this. I can do this. See here. Oh.
Ha! Look at you. So, as you're composing the poem, every now and then you sort of look up and take in the lake and all of its beauty. And at one such point, the maidens have been lighting these lanterns pretty regularly. And at once you sort of look up and notice that all of them are gone on the opposite side of the lake. And you sort of begin to wonder how long it's been since you've actually looked up. And so you sort of glance on and you notice that all the lanterns are sort of slowly drifting out towards the center of the lake. And there is a large fog beginning to roll in from the trees on the opposite side. Big mist bank.
Surprise exasperation.
No whippoorwills, unfortunately.
So there's this fog rolling in from around the corners. Yes.
No, if you're looking, if you are sitting right next to the building in the picture, and you're sort of looking out into your left, it opens out into a large lake, right? And on the side where the maiden is standing, sort of wreathing that entire area, that entire bank, is the Shinomen Forest. And so from that opposite end, kind of towards more of the center of the lake, from the trees, a fog bank is beginning to form. Nothing alarming. Just strange.
And he looks down at his paper and says, "An error. Surely a work unfit to be shared with the spoken word. Disgrace. Again. It starts over."
Excellent.
Ashra kind of opens or stops playing and kind of watches, sees Sojiro, and kind of looks around to what the fuck is happening.
Yeah, you notice the same thing. Go ahead and make me a
Perception roll.
Raw perception. Yeah, you notice the same thing. It's strange, and you're not entirely sure where the maidens went. But then again, you've not really been paying attention to them, so again, it's no different than the strangeness that the people of the area seem to espouse anyway. But As you guys sort of like muse on this and look, you'll notice that it almost seems like the lanterns like begin to snuff out as they hit the fog bank as it's rolling in.
So all of us see the lantern starting to snuff out?
Would you like to make a raw perception roll?
Yes, I would. I'm sorry.
Yours is going to be a TN15 because you are inside the building and sort of have your attention divided.
Are we all allowed to make this roll?
I'm allowing it from Makoto because she's sort of like off to the side, kind of like where the shoji screens are open, can get a decent view. You guys are sort of in the middle of the room. Like, it would be really difficult. Let's call it a TN20 if you wish.
Okay. Just no investigation or anything?
Mm-mm. Just a raw perception.
Perception.
Yeah,
to show.
yeah. Makoto is clearly not paying attention to what's going on outside. A valiant effort, but Tetsumura is composing poems. It's real difficult to notice these things going on far distant. There's a lot of building between you and it.
Sammy just looks at Tetsu.
Tetsu slowly looks up and looks at Seimei.
When Tetsu brings his eyes up, Sammy drops his eyes back to the paper.
You know what? In the most unicorn fashion, Tetsu's gonna write something down. He's gonna pull out a new piece of parchment. He's gonna write something down. Gonna fold it up. He's gonna slowly slide it over to Seimei.
Sammy just looks at the paper and then goes to open it. What does it say?
Inside it, in kind of like really horrible calligraphy, like he can write, but it's that Moto handwriting though. And he'll just say, or it'll say, dude, it won't stutter. It's oh Jesus, I can't think. Hold on, my brain just like melted. Woo. Okay, there we go. It'll say, is there something you need? Bayushi-san. Eyes kind of met, and I don't know. I'm kind of curious as to why you were looking at me? Question mark? Question mark?
Seimei-chan.
Kind of. And then there's a little like there's a smiley face at the bottom, but then another question mark beside the smiley face.
He takes the brush or whatever the fuck they use, and he just kind of draws like a big X over it, and he writes something, folds it back up the way you had it, and then sends it back over. Slides it back over.
He'll take it and read it.
He says there's something. It says there's something on your face, and then he draws a face, and then there's like a dot, like right on the cheek or something.
Oh, he'll kind of lift his hand up and like touch his cheek and just kind of rub his cheek a little bit, just kind of like, what? And then he'll look back over to Seimei and just kind of say, what? Did I get it?
He shakes his head no.
Is it like a drop of ink or something?
I think so. You might want to go to the lake and check it out. Wash your face or something.
Was this conversation on paper or out loud?
The second one's out loud. He'll just kind of reply back, you gonna follow me and try to push me in the lake or something?
No, he'll stay right here.
He's just kind of like holding his cheek, just, like looking at Seimei like, oh.
You are a samurai. I hope I don't have to help defend you against the lake.
Oh no. So at that, you will look. That whole innocent, naive kind of bullshittery thing goes down, and he's like, "I am a Motobushi. I do not need anyone's help defending me against a lake, nor anyone else. I was merely asking if you were going to push me in the lake or something. I would not put it past a scorpion."
You're right. If I was in the mood to, I would definitely push you in a lake, but...
Exactly.
It's definitely not one of those times, so you can rest easy there, Moto-san. Gosh, so serious.
Look at you! You're being mean!
I'm not being mean. I'm trying to help you out.
Meanie.
Hey, I'm not the one with ink on my face.
I see no ink on Moto-san's face.
Gosh,
Says
way to
Makoto as
way to
though-
ruin the fun, Crane-san. Gosh.
Do you
Perhaps-
want? Oh, my bad. My apologies, Dedoji-san.
No. Please.
He'll lift the brush up threateningly at Seimei and say, "Do you want ink on your face? Because I can make it happen."
I changed my mind. What I meant to say. What I meant to say was that I think perhaps it would be a good idea, Seimei-san, if you took a moment to look in the lake and consider your own reflection. I understand that is very helpful for the writing of poetry.
I can meditate right here, that's fine. Plus, I already know I look really good, so it's okay too.
I mean, but that Tetsu just kind of, and he slowly gets up and he makes his way out to the lake. Before he leaves out of the doorway, though, he'll say, "I'll give you two some time alone. Apparently, you have some issues to work out. Maybe another climaxing fight. Who knows?" He just fucking bolts it towards the lake.
Does he look back?
Let me roll and see if he does. I don't know. If it's over 5, he will look back. Yeah, he looks back.
Catches Makoto staring at him, completely expressionless,
Oh shit.
but definitely staring at him.
How to make friends and influence enemies. Or how to make enemies and just influence enemies.
Makoto sips her tea.
Seimei just smiles beneath his mempo. Goes about writing out his haiku.
So the two outside see a unicorn stepping out, looking over his shoulder. Very, I don't know. I don't know what that expression would be. What is that expression, Tetsu?
It can be best summed up as an "oh shit" face.
Somebody has led a horse to water. Yay.
Oh no!
Oh, now I have to learn how to poison.
I have poisoned the lake, you guys. Just saying.
Yeah,
Go
you
ahead.
have.
Wipe your face off there.
Somebody poisoned the watering hole.
Oh no! Yeah, who could it be other than the scorpions? Oh. Yeah, he'll just kind of, dip his hand into the water and just rub at his cheek.
But yeah,
So
sorry.
apparently the
Ash.
two outside have fallen into a coma.
Sorry, I had forgotten I was muted. But yeah, Ashura says, anything the matter, noble unicorn.
No. Why would you think that? No, everything's good. It's very obvious he's lying. He can't. Yeah.
Your eyes do not speak the same words as your mouth.
Oh. There's just some stuff happened. Do I have any ink on my face?
No, you do not.
Okay. You kind of. I don't know. Tensions they were getting really high in the in there. There was some stuff going on. I think I might be killed by a crane later, but what happens. Or either that, or the two left are gonna have a very intriguing night. Who knows? Or I might get pushed in a lake. There are very many things that could happen tonight. How are you guys?
Ah! I think I got
Anyway.
it.
You get it?
Is accompanied by a firm nod.
I do hope all your hard work pays off. And I'm sure it will.
And he smiles. Not enough to, hang on. Oh, am I back now? Oh, there we go. Yeah, not enough to dishonor himself, but yeah, he's got a faint smile, and his eyes just kind of wander back to the lake again. Any new developments with those lanterns?
So the fog is sort of rolling in, and the lanterns continue to disappear within it. A light drizzle of rain begins to fall on you. All of you outside who are not under the eaves.
Sojiro quickly folds his paper, tucks his papers back into his haori, and to protect them from the rain.
And then?
Then he tied her up to the railroad tracks. If you know, he's gonna approach the fog.
Okay. Like move to the edge of the lake.
Yeah.
Okay. And what are you looking for?
He's just getting closer to see if he can, if he delves a little deeper into the fog, if he can see the lantern still on the other side.
Well, the fog hasn't quite reached you yet. It's still drifting over the lake. But from here, you can, as you begin to really like examine what's going on out there, as the lantern seems to reach it, you feel like it might be a trick of your eyes, but you feel like individual tendrils of the fog are kind of like swooping down and snuffing them like little pinching fingers. But that can't be right. It's probably just a trick. Trick of the eyes.
Sojiro rubs his eyes and then looks again and squints with a small frown.
When he sees Sojiro doing that, Asher will get up slowly and move towards Sojiro, and without saying, he'll just try and look the way he's looking.
Asura, you move to the edge to the edge of the water as a light drizzle begins to come down on you. It's beginning to sort of pick up in intensity, and the fog seems to be moving a little bit faster. You don't really see anything out of place as such, but go ahead and make me another perception roll, please.
Okay. Oh, well, no, not what I meant to do. I just copy-pasted the last thing I did, sorry. 15, yes.
So, as you are gazing out over the water and kind of like letting your eyes trail over the landscape, in a nearby tree, you see a handful of ravens perched on the branches, sort of looking at you and bobbing their heads slowly. And the second that you make eye contact with them, they all burst into activity and sort of flap away through the rain.
He kind of frowns. Strange indeed.
But it is beginning to rain.
Yeah, Sojiro loosens up and stands a little straighter and turns away from the lake, starts walking back towards indoors.
So Sojiro rejoins the group inside.
Yes.
Asura, Tetsu.
Ashura will, also go back. And he'll, when he goes back, actually, he sits at the table and writes.
So, Tetsu, as you sort of like kneel down and begin to wash your face, for the briefest of moments, you think that you see a face, not yours, staring back at you from the water, and like that, it's over with. Nothing's there. It's just you staring back at you.
He's gonna blink. He's gonna rub his eyes some more, and he's gonna probably stupidly like move his face closer to the water and just kind of squint. Just kind of like, what?
But it's also raining on you.
He'll kind of like splash at the water a little bit more, just kind of like just trying to see if it'll happen again.
Some carp dart away from your splashing. That's about it. Maybe it was just a particularly ugly carp.
He'll frown. And then finally stand back up. And just kind of glance around, realizing that he's the only one left out here.
And the last of the lanterns snuff out.
Oh, shit. Since Tetsu totally didn't make his perception roll, could he just grab like one of the lanterns and try to relight it?
They're not close. They're out on the water.
Oh, okay.
They're sort of drifting into the fog bank. None of the lanterns that are illuminating the building have been touched yet.
Okay. Yeah.
Can I roll to notice that?
To notice what?
That the lanterns have all gone out outside?
You just sort of get that. Like if you see the other two kind of come in from the rain, even a casual glance outside, you would notice that there's no more lanterns on the lake.
Okay. Makoto's going to stand up and glance around the room and move toward the door. Just kind of idly curious now that it's quiet in here and dark out there.
And true nightfall has sort of like descended on you at this point. There's no more real ambient like light coming from nature, simply the building itself and the lanterns that have been lit.
There are lanterns in the building, right?
Mm-hmm. The building's lit.
I think she's actually going to go ahead and take one of the lanterns down if there is one that can be taken down and it wouldn't be a sign of incredible rudeness, and take it out to Tatsumura. Sorry.
He'll look over towards her and just kind of nod and say, so, yeah, you noticed it got really dark out here too, right? It's not just me, right?
She nods, but doesn't think anything of it yet. Does he look upset? Does he look rattled?
A little bit. Then he'll actually kind of motion her closer and say, hey, I might sound a little crazy, but I'm a Moto, so I'm probably crazy anyway. Could you look in the pond for me and see what you see?
She, when he says he might sound a little bit crazy, she says nothing, but her face says, bitch, you have said some crazy shit tonight.
That's why he added the whole, but I'm a Moto, so I'm probably already crazy.
And she moves to the railing to hold the lantern up and look out over the water.
So as you look out over the water, you don't really see anything except the pitter patter of little rips the surface. The lake is incredibly placid, and strangely enough, there's sort of a pretty strong breeze kind of tugging at your clothes, and the lake seems unnaturally calm despite the wind.
Are any of all the lanterns have drifted toward the center, right? There's none of the original lanterns nearby?
Mm-mm.
Okay. She just kind of watches. I see nothing, Titsumura-san.
Kind of frowns. That's okay. Must have been I would say it would be a trick of the light, but there is no light out here, so it must have just been my imagination.
She kind of shields the lantern that she's holding with an arm, kind of with both arms from the rain, holds it kind of awkwardly to keep the rain off it as much as possible, and steps back under the eaves, if that's possible, to ask, What did you see?
I saw another face. One that wasn't mine when I looked into the water. It was just for a brief moment, so I couldn't really catch any details, but it definitely wasn't my face as I stared into the water.
Was it making eyes at a scorpion?
Huh?
Your face in the water, was it making eyes at a scorpion?
He just kind of stands there for a moment, mouth kind of slightly open, and I'll just go, if they were making eyes at a scorpion, I would wonder why there was a scorpion under the water, because I was staring down at my reflection in the water when there was the other face. Now, if I'm making eyes at a scorpion any other time, that is all between me and the scorpion.
I see.
Yeah, when he hears that, Ashura stops writing and moves towards the people outside. Strange. I saw something, well, maybe not as particular as what you saw, but something caught my eye when I was out here.
As Asura is speaking, the fog bank sort of creeps up onto the shore.
I think towards us or the other side.
Near the building, where Asura and Sojiro were standing a few minutes before.
He looks in the fog.
I mean, you're inside, right?
Yeah.
You can see it beginning to come on, but you can't really make out anything detailed.
As I
the two that are able to see it are Moto and Doji-san. I
mean, Togashi, Ashura went to them, so he's with them.
Oh, so he moved back outside?
Yeah.
Okay.
What did you see, Asura-san?
As I stared at that tree, and he'll, not on one point, but he's make a head movement towards the tree. There was a murder of crows which stared back at me and flocked away once they saw that I was looking at them.
The fog bank has since engulfed that tree.
Makoto smiles and says, "It sounds as though the samurai here have taken very closely to their namesake." She's watching, kind of staring into the fog. And if one hand has wandered over to her belt, that's her own business. The other is still holding the lantern. Sojiro-san. She turns back inside.
Hi.
Did you see anything strange while you were watching the water?
he kind of, you know, that momentary like twitch of the brow and squint kind of motion, like that kind of, it's very brief, but it's kind of like, what's your game? But like, yeah, he does that expression, and he says, why do you ask?
The night is full of fog. It's hard to see. And there are dreams on the water.
Yeah, he stiffens a little more and actually reaches kind of reaches to his side for his sword, his wakizashi. He's out of a little bit of caution, not threateningly, but like cautious with a little bit of worry. The paranoia of the crab, and says, I thought very little of it, but it's probably nothing. But I thought I saw the fog snuffing out the lights of the lanterns one by one.
Makoto's lantern snuffs out.
Bring me another lantern. I would relight this one.
So
Voice just comes out of the darkness.
Sojiro straight up abandons the idea of the wakizashi and goes straight for the Tetsubo.
For the record, there is light sort of spilling out of the building onto the eaves. So like you're not in darkness. It's just that your personal source of light, like a particularly nasty gust, has blown at you, and the fog has sort of like reached the building, making grabby hands at you.
Saime will finally come up and just kind of look at all of you questionably. Is everything okay here?
The fog seems to be stealing the light.
Apparently it has. Have y'all not heard the rumors about the Shinomen Forest?
Tell us again. Perhaps if there are ears listening, they would like to hear themselves named.
I only know that it is haunted. Apparently. At least that's what the locals here say. And I've heard some stories here and there. Nothing that I can recall in great detail that would be entertaining.
Makoto is going to turn sharply and go back inside and relight her lantern on one of the others.
Okay. And so as you go to light your lantern, and all of you are sort of gathered around the either on the porch or the what is the word for the thing that you stand on outside?
Porch.
Veranda? I don't know. The
Put it in the side chat at one point. Scrolling up.
The eaves of the building.
That's it.
Those of you outside and those that are sort of standing inside at the open shoji screens. The samurai sort of bustle back inside. The Imperials. Ocean sort of looks like she might have caught the tail end of the rain, and sort of looks at all of you apologetically and says, "Oh, what a poorly timed event. I do apologize if my lack of foresight has ruined your muses."
She outranks us, right?
Probably, but only by a little.
Okay. Is it appropriate to call her son?
Yeah.
Okay. As Makoto lights her lantern, she says, only your company was missed. Where have you been?
She looks at you and says, I forgot some of the materials that were needed. And she points to the G Samurai who have now like returned with a bunch of ink pots and brushes and parchment and are like setting it out at the table. As well, I had other business to attend to.
The fog comes in so quickly here.
It does. It is a nuisance. Well then, I hope that we can still salvage something beautiful out of this ugliness. And she gestures to the Seppun guardsmen, and they sort of like go and begin to close the shoji.
I think Makoto is going to go back and hang her lantern where she found it.
Okay.
Is there a P&E equivalent?
Courtier awareness.
Courtier. I don't think I have courtier. Shit.
You can spend a void point if you want to give yourself an effective rank in it.
When do we get those back again, by the way?
You get them back at a rate of like 1 a week or something like that. I'll have to check it to be sure. But you can use meditation to get it back.
I think to get some bits hard.
Alrighty. Yeah, I'll go ahead and spend one. She said, awareness, courtier?
Courtier awareness, yep.
Okay.
Can you not throw it if you don't have it?
What's that?
Can you not throw it if you don't have it?
It would be a raw awareness roll, but you can use a void point in order to give yourself a rank. That way your 10s explode on the skill.
Okay. And okay. So it's just the 10 explode, we don't add anything?
It gives you, yeah, it gives you 1 rank. So it's
One
like
rank, so it's
1
like
plus,
10, okay.
yeah, 1 plus your awareness.
On that specifically was on our kind hostess.
Okay.
Is it okay if I roll 2?
Yeah.
Sure.
I'll use a void point too.
What's my awareness? Holy crap.
Well, when it comes to reading the faces of other samurai, even Asura's astute gaze can detect no trace of deception from Ocean's expression. She looks very earnest and very inconvenienced about all of it. That much is very clear.
With that, he'll just sit back where he was sitting before he went outside, like the first time before she left and everything.
Well then, have you all composed your poems?
I have.
Sojiro nods.
Indeed.
I
Well then, who would like to volunteer?
Well, if no one else goes,
So here's how this is going to work. Mechanically, it is a TN15. Let's see, artisan poetry is the specialty. Awareness, and it's a TN15. If you have a poem in your blue booking, you will get a free raise. If you compose one on the spot having to do with your experience tonight, I'll give you 2 free raises. And for each raise that you successfully complete, including free ones, you will get a point.
what if we done both? I guess it's just 2 free raises, because the one I wanted is the one I wrote down, but there was one I had on my blue book too.
Give the one that you just made.
Okay. And so do we say it and then roll, or what?
Yes.
So he'll say, stand up. Bright light to deep fog. 5 stars gaze from high heavens. Shadowed feathers dare.
Okay, make your roll.
And I'll use another void point. $22 with 2 free raises.
Okay.
It was 15, you said, right?
Yep. Who's next?
Wait, doesn't raises raise the difficulty?
Free
No,
raises
free
don't.
raises.
So if he had called another raise, he would have 4 points. But he didn't.
Okay.
Otomo looks at Asura and nods her approval and says, very dire. Much like the evening. Who's next? Eeny, meeny, miny, samey.
Eeny, meeny, miny, samey.
All right. So he will stand, unfurling his parchment, and he'll just recite, "Watch while we bleed, accepting the scathing glares. It's the greatest love." And he will spend a void point.
Are you calling any raises?
No.
Okay.
Should have.
Should have. Could have rolled. Could have Yeah, you could have called 2. Damn.
I should have showed. I keep forgetting the show thing.
Can I call the raises after my roll?
Nope. You cannot. Ocean looks at Seimei and says, from personal experience, I wonder.
Well, you did say it was the the expression of the soul.
Indeed.
And he just goes back and sits down.
So, Jiro?
Wrote one just now. He says, "Silent waters still." Actually, before I go any further, you'll notice he isn't holding any papers, despite his actions earlier. But he says, "Silent waters still, dancing among the heavens, bringing with them cold."
Roll it.
Alrighty, and how does the keep thing work? The raises, the free raises?
You're going to get 2 free raises, but it's a TN 15. So for each raise you call, it's going to increase the difficulty of the test by 5. So if you call 1 raise, it's going to be a 20. You can only call a number of raises on a single roll equal to your void score. So most of the time for a new character, it's going to be 2. But if you feel confident that you can hit that threshold, then you would call a raise, and that would give you an extra point for each raise you call after that.
Then
So you
raises.
you can make it a maximum of a TN 25 if you felt confident in hitting that.
And pretty much 3 raises means without raising the difficulty, you already have a high score if you do it.
Wait, so...
The free raises are free. They don't do anything to the difficulty.
You don't do anything. You just...
Oh, so it's still a TN 15.
It's a TN 15 right now, as it stands. You have 2 free raises.
Okay.
If you wish to call more raises, because, you have things for this, you may call them before the roll, increase the TN by 5 per raise you call to a maximum of 2 raises for 10 or 1 raise for 5.
Okay.
So a TN 15 becomes a TN 20 if you call 1 raise. A TN 20 becomes TN 25 if you call 2. And remember, because you have a specialty, an emphasis, you get to reroll your 1s.
Okay. Yeah. I'm going to call 1 raise in addition to the 2 free.
Okay. Reroll your 1.
Oh, shit. Let me copy this, sorry. Do I reroll it again or no?
Go ahead. Okay, so it's a 15. Unfortunately, you threw yourself out there but didn't quite make it. But you would chalk that up to just sort of how spooked you are at the current environment. Maybe your delivery was a little off. You know you're capable. You just came up short this time. However, you do come away with a couple of points. So she looks at you and she simply nods. She doesn't really know what to make of your poem.
Wait, are you drunk, Sojiroy-san?
What?
No, I'm joking. It's like I was joking, like her going, what? Are you drunk?
Add some more?
Set up. Nod. Okay then. This is one just made. So I did 2 phrases. We'll be spending Le Void point for then. Let me see if I have anything that I'll add on to it, and I'm pretty sure I don't.
How many raises are you calling?
None. But I do have the 2 free raises.
Speak your poem.
A face staring back, lights drifting away from us, wonders to behold. Dice gods, please be nice. Thank you, dice gods.
Okay.
Should have called a raise, but oh well.
Ocean sort of tilts her head and says, very strange indeed. And whose is that? She says, pointing to the table. And there is a folded up piece of paper sitting on the table. None of you are aware of how it got there. Makoto-san, did you compose this one?
She turns and looks at it and shakes her head.
So, none of you wrote it, then?
No?
No.
She gestures for one of the G Samurai to go and pick it up. And he reads it and then looks back at her with a sort of dire expression. And then she gives him just like an expectant, like, well, go on. And let me get it real fast.
And roll initiative.
No, not that dire. Let's see. The anticipation.
So anticipation.
This is the problem of not taking notes. Oh, there it is. So the G Samurai picks it up and clears his throat and reads aloud to all of you. Strangers in our lands, faces the forest must take. Leave before you can't.
Well, that's rather ominous.
Makoto is going to turn and look at the samurai who came in, who brought the papers.
You're pretty sure none of them placed anything at the table with you.
It's okay.
Did the fog ever get actually inside?
No. They closed all the shoji.
Sojiro slowly rises to his feet. He doesn't say anything. Sorry, go ahead.
Ocean just sort of grimaces and says, "Well, what an ill-conceived prank." I'm very disappointed in whoever wrote this. And she sort of like looks between all of you because you've been sort of digging around in here for the last hour. But obviously, all of you are suspicious too, so everyone just sort of stares at each other for a moment. And she
Mako
says,
stares at Seimei.
Same stares at every one of you back. Especially
Hey, I didn't say
Tetsumora.
I was staring back at
Why is he
someone.
staring? You know what? Tatsumora is just staring right back at Seimei. Like, why are you looking at me? And then he'll actually just go to Seimei and just kind of say, why would I write something like that? I've been called an outsider in this place my entire life. It's not like I would call anyone else one. I know how bad it feels.
I'm sorry you feel that way.
well,
But I didn't accuse anybody of anything. Everybody was just staring at everybody, so I was staring at everybody back.
It was in your eyes. But
well, clearly this is not an admission to the competition, and therefore it will be discarded like so much trash.
May I
There.
have it?
She sort of like brains her neck and looks at you.
She bows.
For what purpose would you want such a horrid thing?
Contemplation.
Let's see.
It was indeed rather moving. It did provoke a response, at least from everybody here, in some manner.
Please roll me a TN20 sincerity awareness roll, Makoto.
Okay. Where's my... So many windows. Why do I have so many windows? Sincerity. Awareness. Oh, that's not command. Gosh. Man. My rolls tonight are ass.
I feel you.
If you would have wrote a poem, wouldn't have had that problem.
I wrote 3, thank you.
Well, I mean, you should have said something.
She definitely wrote this one.
Oh no!
Ocean looks at you very, very strongly
No!
and says, "No, I don't think I will." And she looks to the G Samurai and nods to him, and he goes and tosses it into a nearby brazier, burns it away.
She bows again.
Well, that bit of nastiness aside, there can be one victor. Therefore, I'm going to personally weigh my vote to solve the issue between the tie between Togashi Asura-san and Moto Tetsumura-san.
I sure smells at Tetsumura. It's a very friendly smell. There's no like heartbeat, you know. It's just a straight up friendly smell.
he returns the nod, just kind of like, I'm amazed I got this far.
Togashi Asura, your poem reigns supreme.
And he'll bow. A bit, I guess, a little bit lower than he would to someone of equal rank, because this woman is of higher rank, just even if just a little bit. And what did you say her name was?
Otomo Ocean.
Otsumo. Also, thank you, Otomo Motion-sama. Otomo Motion-sama.
You have brought great honor upon your clan. All of you have done very well, save whoever the troublemaker is.
Does she stare at Makoto when she says that?
Very, very briefly. Very briefly. All of you have done very well. I thank you for your participation, and trust me when I say that Lord Kaioshin will hear of your exploits and your great poems. I shall present them to him personally.
Thank you for presiding over this delightful and inspiring contest.
A samurai's soul is truly at peace when it can find free expression. For he must be ready for war at all other times.
In his head, he's just like, "You're goddamn right."
Same.
You're indeed a font of wisdom, Tomotion. Son.
You flatter me.
I do try.
Perhaps one day you will succeed.
I look forward to that day.
She sort of looks around, like kind of cocks an ear, and says, The rain has abated. Perhaps we should be moving back to Kyudenkuro.
Seems like a wonderful idea.
Is there etiquette based on who should exit first?
Not for this particular ceremony.
At that mention, then Sojiro already standing will give a bow of respect to everyone in the room, one slightly deeper to their hostess, and take his leave.
Hida Sojiro disappears into the mist, never to be seen again.
Seme will take his time collecting his things, packing up his little ink well thing, whatever they use, parchment stuff, and he's probably going to try to be like one of the last people out.
Makoto waits just a little bit longer, just kind of watching everyone pack up their things. And then she also turns to go.
Yeah. The Togashi is probably, well, not necessarily the last to leave, but he does spend time just going back outside for a minute or two. He is in a meditative state, feeling the wind, and then he'll get back up and leave.
And with that, I think we can end the scene. Thank you, players, for playing. Thank you, watchers, for watching. Good night.